Welcome, movie fans, to another episode of Hollow Victories. Will it make us lol, or will we be left saying, oh my gamut? I'm your host, Matt Presents, and I'm joined, as always, by my excited co-host.
Hey everybody, it's Makal, and I'm here
Shut up! I'll have to send you that.
Good work.
Thank you.
You did it. I don't think anyone has been as excited to watch Smosh or the Fred movie as you. Yes, it's the matchup of YouTuber the movie movies. Both with, weirdly similar plots. Both with plots about, getting embarrassed by a viral video. And also both featuring cameos from professional wrestlers. So,
Yeah.
They've got that in common. It's Fred the movie versus Smosh the movie. Now, Michael, I want to ask you how much connection you have to these two, because I did not watch these two channels at all as a kid. I definitely saw some Smosh sketches here and there. I definitely had friends who were into Smosh who would show me stuff from Smosh, but I never, kept up with them. I never followed them. Fred, I literally only know through Nickelodeon. I first heard of him from his appearance on iCarly, and then, all his Nickelodeon stuff is how I know him.
Yeah, so Smosh, I will say, if it wasn't for Rich Alvarez, probably would have been the most influential channel to me growing up. Because, I really loved their skits. I really loved their comedy. It's one of those things where I look back at it and it doesn't, click the same way anymore. It's not as funny to me as it used to be. But, I'm talking about, really old Smosh, Hardcore Max and
Sure.
Boxman, or the lip sync videos for that matter. The first video I saw from them was their Pokemon theme song lip sync. And I loved that video. Then they remade it 5 years later, and I loved that too. I was a big fan of them. And what happened with that is I went from being 13 to 14, and Smosh suddenly wasn't so cool anymore. but I deep down, I'll always have a certain amount of love and respect for them. When they announced they were going to start working together again and making skits together again, it did make me happy. It made me happy that part of the internet was restored. Sure. Because, and look, after two skits, after they did one skit, which was original, and then a second skit that was a rehash of an old one, and that's when I stopped. with their new skits, it took two skits for me to stop watching. But it's there's something charming about that. It was the early days of the internet.
It's the rare wholesome story from old YouTubers.
Yeah, And
they had been broken up for a while, but then they got back together. They bought their channel back. It's just like the old days. Neither of them have been canceled yet.
Yeah. And and I have a lot of respect for them, and I hope they keep making stuff. And even if I don't watch it, it's cool that they've been able to. They are quite literally two examples of just get out there and make stuff, and that's what I want to see. I don't want to see, because you're right. I can pinpoint, I told you, I jokingly said at the start of this movie, let's make a game out of how many YouTubers have been canceled, and that show up in this. And funny enough, there actually wasn't that many.
I only counted one. Maybe you know better than I do.
Two, but that's because I'm counting Jenna Marbles. And I think Jenna Marbles was wrongfully canceled. Jenna Marbles was just, she made edgy jokes in her older videos. Okay, so did Smosh. So did, so did so many people on this fucking platform.
Sure.
Yeah, if you want to say that it was bad, sure. But if you want to say Jenna Marbles is the only one who should be taking the hit fall for that, no. Because, yes.
What about Fred?
Fred, my sisters really liked. My two younger sisters really liked it. My brother fucking hated it. And I pretended that I hated it. But deep down, I did actually kind of like Fred. Because I was embarrassed to admit that I liked Fred. But I did like Fred.
I feel like Fred was one of the first things on the internet that I was just, too old for. Granted, I was, 14, 15 when I found out about Fred. But even that was, a little too old.
I was probably 11 or 12, and I was definitely, right on that line of I'm about to be too. Because, YouTube first hit, we first had YouTube in 2005, so I was either 9 or 10. And I really only used YouTube for, I remember, the two things I would watch on YouTube when it first came out was The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and Weird Al. Those were the two things I used YouTube for. And then I learned there's a lot of other cool stuff on here, and Smosh and Fred were two of the first ones.
Nigahiga was the big, like, early YouTuber that I followed.
I liked Nigahiga. He was cool.
He did some stuff with Smosh. Smosh was in, like, at least one of his videos.
Yeah. Fred collaborated with the Annoying Orange.
I remember that, and I remember, like, being so angry at that, just because it's, like, I found both of those kind of annoying when I was young. And I remember leaving a comment on the video like, oh, I'm gonna come back every day and dislike this video. Because I was like 14, 15. And that's the thing. Fred is for like the 8 to 12 demographic, and nothing is lamer to like a 14, 15-year-old than something for the 8 to 12 demographic.
I'm not gonna act like I wasn't a cynic online back then, because I absolutely was. But I remember when that crossover happened, I was like, that's such a good idea. That was my like 13 or 14-year-old self. I was like, that's such a good idea. Because you're taking the two most iconic, annoying characters on YouTube and crossing them over. I was like, that is such a good idea. And I still think that's a pretty good idea. I think that was like the right place, right time for that.
I mean, if they had Fred on their TV show instead of who they actually had, I think it probably would have gone better.
You know what? I'll give Lucas this sense of humor about how people responded to his movie, and Not a Criminal.
Yeah, no, I have a little respect for Lucas. Like, you know, in hindsight, it's like, okay, yeah, it was like the reasons I hated him back in the day were completely not legitimate. I, like, did not watch his content at all. I was just like, oh, fuck this dude, he's popular and annoying.
But, like, I got on the, like, I can't, like, you know, like, I wasn't on the Fred bandwagon of hatred, but I was on the, you know, like, I'm not saying that as, like, a way to praise myself. I was on the Justin Bieber hate wagon. I was on the Rebecca Black hate wagon. Like, it, you know, like, that's just how the internet was.
Yeah, but, like, to be fair, I also just didn't like Justin Bieber's music. I still do not like Justin Bieber's music.
Oh, I don't either, but like there, you have to admit there was like this like level of like
sure
there were people equally bad to him, but he was the only one you were going after. That's kind of what it was like. That was like what the internet was like back then.
Absolutely.
If anything, Justin Bieber gave me a reason to dislike him after that. But even then, it's like, okay, well, I'm, you know, probably not the best discussion to have right now, but I'm willing to accept the fact that Justin Bieber had odd circumstances growing up that make some of those circumstances unfair to him. Anyway, but like I liked Fred, but I grew out of it a lot quicker than anything else, and even when I did like it, I was in denial about liking it. That's where Fred is for me, because I thought he was funny, but I felt embarrassed that I thought he was funny. And I did not find, and I was not embarrassed that I found the guys who dressed up as Mario characters in public places funny.
I honestly don't think I ever watched any of his, like, actual internet content. I think I exclusively watched what was on Nickelodeon, and I'm like, yo, this guy kind of sucks.
His pool video was probably his most popular, and I believe that's the one that iCarly played. Because there was a skit of him like, I'm gonna go play in my pool, and that was like a really popular one. And I believe iCarly quite literally played that, and then they recreated it with the iCarly cast at the end of that episode.
Anyways, we have 2 movies we gotta talk about, so...
We sure do.
Michael, would you like to introduce us to Frederick the Movie?
So Fred the Movie released on September 18th, 2010, and I remember that day very well. I was in the audience watching it. Directed by Clay Weiner, his only movie, I'm sorry. Tells the story of Fred Figglehorn, who is stalking a girl and then goes to her house. He lies about a party at the end. And that's basically what Fred the Movie is. There's a lot of fake outs. There's a journey of him trying to get to her house, but the plot synopsis I could offer this movie is that it's about a stalker who wins, and that is yeah. Fred the Movie. I think that it's very much played out like the YouTube videos where almost nothing is happening. He's directly addressing the audience, looking at the camera. And the movie kind of plays out like one skit after the other, with a little bit of a loose plot connecting everything together. Matt, what did you think of Fred the movie?
It's not good, I'll tell you that much. It does manage a few laughs here and there. I did laugh a few times at this movie. But I also, it also really annoyed me a few times. And mostly I just think it's, not that interesting. Like, it's the thinnest plot. He wants to go invite Judy to his house. And it's just, in increasingly escalating circumstances stand in the way of that. Honestly, the movie it kind of reminds me of a little bit is, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Because he also has that kind of, it's like his bike gets stolen. That's what happens in that movie. And then he just spends an hour and a half trying to get his bike back. In this movie, Fred's crush moves away and he spends the movie trying to get to her house to track her down.
In that same sense, it's kind of like Beavis and Butthead Do America. Like, it's incredibly simple plot. Let's see what we can get out of it, where the character's motive is not a big motive, but the journey to get to that motive is kind of where the fun comes in. I think Fred the movie is kind of interesting, but I find it kind of interesting it's an old web show relic, and it's also an early example of media, the media that was more popular at the time trying to adapt to that, trying to get in on that. Television was trying to get on these YouTubers, which, Fred is probably the earliest, one of the early, not the first, but one of the earliest examples of them doing that. Of course, Annoying Orange got their own TV show, and a lot of YouTubers would start appearing on Disney Channel shows and whatnot. Same thing happened with Viners. When Vine was a thing, they would start appearing on television. And I do think that's interesting. I also think Fred the movie adapts the source material in kind of an interesting way, because you have Kevin, the mom, Judy, and the father as characters in the web show. I can't remember if Bertha was a character on the web show. She very well might have been, but I don't remember her. But none of them were actual characters that appeared. They were always characters that Fred mentioned in passing. And occasionally you might hear the mom's voice off in the background. But they never showed her, where this movie now had the task of, okay, we have to create a face for each of these characters. And I think with the mom, the dad, and Kevin, they actually did a pretty solid job. I think Kevin looks exactly like how I imagined Kevin looking. I think he's performed in kind of a funny way. I think Kevin's scenes are some of the funnier ones in the movie. John Cena being the dad is kind of funny. It goes against what the shit web show is, but it's so clearly a delusion that Fred has, and I thought that was kind of funny. And the mom is perfect. With the way they portrayed her in the web show, that's exactly how they found the perfect person to play the fucking mom in this movie. So I think that part is kind of interesting. It's actually kind of you're actually adapting the source material pretty well. I think the one big decision they made that is such a detriment to adapting the web show, but also kind of a good call at the same time, is the voice. Because that's not what Fred sounds like. Fred blatantly does not sound like Fred, but I can't blame them for wanting to tone it down for a whole hour and a half. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't think he's honestly annoying enough in this. If he had if they pitch shifted his voice as much as he does in the YouTube videos, I think this would be a much more annoying film.
Yeah, I don't think it would work.
A much harder film to get through.
I do not think it would work. Yeah, but I do think that this movie has some potential within it, because there's things I like about it. Like I said, Kevin, the mom, and the dad, I think work, especially as an adaptation. It works because when you say it's adapting the material, all right, sometimes you might not like the original material, so it's still not a good movie, but you can at least say okay, it followed the assignment. I think the Fred movie takes every aspect of the web show it can and does something bigger with it. So I think in terms of an adaptation, the Fred movie succeeds, actually.
Yeah.
Now, if you hate the web show, you're gonna hate the fucking movie.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like this probably would be kind of satisfying for fans of the web show, because it does play on what makes the web, on the big beats of the web show. there are like scenes that are shot and edited like the web show. Thankfully not a lot, but there's like a scene where he's like talking about having to call the police, and it keeps cutting back and forth between him saying like random other people he's gonna call,
Right.
like the FBI and the CIA, and I'm like, oh, this is edited like a Fred video. This is how Fred videos were edited.
Yeah. And they've got stuff like the squirrels in there. That's a big thing in the Fred videos. And I mean, you know, and and like little things then, like him obsessing over Judy and being afraid of Kevin, you know, that, and then the mom yelling stuff off. Because even like with the mom, like a lot of her lines were shouted at him, like she's not on screen. So that's also adapted from the videos. Because that's a huge part of a huge part of the humor was just Fred and his mom's back and forths.
Yeah.
So I think it does a pretty good job adapting it, but it's just like so many people hated those web show videos in the past, and a lot of the people who liked them grew up. So,
I mean, I will say, like, one thing that is true of the Fred web shows that is sort of but not really true of Fred the movie is that, like, the web show was, like, kinda dark.
Yeah.
The implication was that Fred had a pretty bad home life, and the movie lightly adapts that, but it adapts that in a way that can still play on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, for sure. Because, like, and it does tone some of it down, because, like I said, in the web show, the dad's on death row. The dad is acknowledged, and he's on fucking death row. In this movie, it's like they don't even acknowledge who Fred's real dad is. It's just, you just have his fantasy dad, and you're okay with his fantasy dad.
Yeah.
The mom, they're willing to adapt the web show a bit more because they can kind of do it like Hey Arnold does it with that mom being like, oh, she likes smoothies. She likes to drink smoothies. That's kind of like Fred the movie where it's like, oh, the mom works late hours. Oh, she owns a bunch of wigs.
She owns a trampoline for work. Yeah, no, I mean, like, the implication is still that she's, like, doing something kind of naughty, but, I think it is definitely toned down from the Fred web series.
It kind of has to be, because that's another thing with old YouTube, is like, old YouTube was so edgy. Old YouTube was so fucking edgy because it was just, everybody was like,
oh yeah,
yeah, we can do whatever we want. Like, if there was no filter. Like, so even the more innocent things on YouTube at that time were still like incredible. You like Annoying Orange, they, you know, when they cut the fruits in half in the old videos, there was blood, you know? Like, they were recreating like horror movie scenes in that show. Like, and yeah, it's lame. I'm not gonna act like, oh, this was actually really intense. This is like fucking South Park. No, but it had more edge than things on the internet typically do now when they're trying to appeal to a mass audience.
Yeah, I don't know. We've hit a weird place where everyone is like, honestly, I get kind of annoyed with like some of the creators who like go out of their way to avoid getting demonetized, and it's like, you can say these things and still be monetized, okay? Like, some of my filthiest videos are still monetized. You can say the fuck word. You can say died. You don't have to say unalived every fucking time.
I think if you say you know, the hot take from me, feel free to disagree with me. If you say unalive yourself or PDF file, you might not be mature enough to be on YouTube. That's what I'm gonna say. You might need to like really look at yourself in the fucking mirror and like reevaluate your life if you say PDF file and unalive yourself. It's like, you don't have to talk about these topics on YouTube if you don't want to. But if you are gonna talk about them, maybe don't say that.
You can get away with like a lot more than people act like you can get away with, okay? Like, yeah. Pretty much I think every single episode of this show is monetized. And we swear, we talk about, like, risque things all the time.
Yeah.
And we're fine.
Well, just some of the movies, just some of the movies we talk about are like, ooh. Like, can I ask you, is your Serbian film video monetized?
Okay, so the thing about SS Yes is that I use a copyrighted song as our theme song.
Oh,
so
okay.
I couldn't monetize those videos anyways.
Okay, fair enough. But hey, that's what I respect about you. I agree with you. I'm annoyed with people who get annoyed with like, I do get annoyed with people who are like, oh, we have to protect our monetization. And they can't say like the most basic things. It's like, when people respond saying, well, they're just trying to, like it's their job. They're trying to make profit off it. It's like, okay, fair enough. I respect that. But I respect people who just fucking care about the art more, generally. Like they're willing to take a loss. Yeah, I respect that more. I don't think there's anything wrong with respecting that more. Yeah, I respect the fact that you're willing to have a series that you're not going to make anything off of. You're just doing it because you want to do it. You don't restrict
Yeah.
yourself because of that. That is a big issue I've had with modern YouTube. Honestly, it is. Like I roll my fucking eyes all the time at people. There's so many people who have like, oh, join my membership so you can watch the videos the way they're supposed to be watched. And it's like, again, like these are people who are trying to fucking live their life. Like they're trying to, YouTube's their job. I get it, but I'm always gonna roll my eyes a little bit at you when you do that.
Yeah, no, like, on the one hand, I understand why people are, like, trying to keep things clean and so that they're The thing is, like, the adpocalypse hit, and the adpocalypse was ridiculous. They were, like, way too restrictive with demonetizing stuff very early on in the whole demonetization system. But like nowadays you can get away with a lot and still be monetized. Like,
oh, for sure. The only videos of mine that get demonetized are ones that are like for copyright reasons.
Yeah, I was scrolling through my videos and it seems like I don't have any that are demonetized for any reason other than copyright.
Right.
Anyways, that's our monetization rant. We should get back to the topic of Fred the movie.
Yeah, so can I tell you? So I googled Fred the movie so I could like look up the director and when it got released. And there's a bunch of these questions. Like there's a bunch of AI questions now that show up on Google. And one of the questions was, did Fred the movie win an Oscar? And you know what the AI overview says?
What?
Yes, Fred the movie won an Oscar.
AI and not knowing what happens in real life.
Happy 10-year anniversary to the Oscar-winning film Fred. And you know who posted that on Instagram? What they're basing that stuff? The AI said, yes, Fred the movie won the Oscar because Lucas, the actor of Fred, said happy 10-year anniversary to the Oscar-winning film Fred, ironically.
Why, he said it. It must be true.
Yeah.
Oscar-winning movie, Fred the movie. I don't even think this movie. It was a TV movie. I don't even think it's eligible for an Oscar.
It would win an Emmy if anything. I enjoy certain scenes in the movie. I think Kevin is kind of funny. I think the mom is funny. I think John Cena is funny, and I think Kevin is kind of funny in the sense that it's like I feel like they actually fuck up near the end, making him at Judy's party. Because I feel like the humor, I said this so many times when we watched it, the joke would work a lot better if it was just like, Kevin is just as big of a loser as Fred, except Fred doesn't see that and Kevin doesn't see that.
Yeah, that did seem to be the implication for, like, a lot of the film.
Yeah, and then he's at Judy's party, though, and it's like, oh, that's not the implication. Yeah, like, that part's kind of lame, but I think Kevin's a really funny character. I like the idea that these are two people who could be best friends, but they're, like, letting their own egos that doesn't affect anything for anyone else but themselves. Like, it's just that their own egos get in the way. Because there's so many scenes where they make Kevin look pathetic, because so often he's, like, with his mom, say, hey, Mom, drive back around. I want to yell at Fred again.
Yeah. Should we talk about the cast in this?
We definitely should.
Because, I mean, Lucas plays Fred. It's Fred. It's just Fred.
And Durf.
And Durf.
I give
Fred.
Look, the character's insufferable. I really that's like the honest to God, the worst part of Fred the movie is Fred.
Yeah.
He's definitely like kind of like hurting his own voice like doing this role for so long. I have a little bit of respect for it. It's like he committed to it.
Remind me, was Durf a character like in the skits? Or is he like exclusive to the film?
I think he's exclusive to the film, but I was thinking that too, and I think the reason I was thinking that is because I'm remembering Quentin Review's video where he does go over another character that Lucas played, where it was a very calm character who didn't speak in the high-pitched voice. I think that was like maybe a Durf prototype. I'm trying to remember. I think I'm remembering the same thing you're remembering from Quentin Review's video, though, if I'm being honest.
I was just asking because I never really watched the Fred videos that much.
Right. I think that Durf was unique to the movies, but there was a character like Durf in the videos.
All right.
I think that's right.
I'll accept that. Jake Weary as Kevin, who, as I mentioned, was kind of typecast as a bully back in the day. I remember him being a bully in a few things.
It's because he looks like a fucking jackass. And I know that might sound mean to say, but I mean, like, if you guys look him up, if you guys Google him, no, he looks like a jackass. I'm not saying he is a jackass. He might be a very fucking sweet person, but sure. Yeah, he looks like a bully. He's typecasted properly as a bully, and I think he has fun with the role, though. I think he's better than most of the people in this movie.
I think he really understands how pathetic Kevin is as a character. Like, he leans into the patheticness of Kevin a little bit.
I think my favorite part with him, performance-wise, was just the part where he got the invitation to Fred's party, and it sounded like he was actually on board to go. And then he realizes that he's uninvited to his party. And he gets, like, actually offended by that. Like, for real offended.
Yeah. And his mom's played by Flo the Progressive Lady.
Yeah. She was fine.
She sure was there. This is a personal confession, but I thought she was pretty hot back, like, when I was a kid. Like, around the time this would have come out. Maybe a little younger. Not 2010, yeah, that would have been the time I was kind of into Flo.
I think Flo is someone later in life I found her kind of attractive. You know? Like, I didn't respect it when I was a kid. But, you know, I think she's fine in this. I will say, with that being said, I don't think that the Progressive commercials have ever once released a funny ad, despite them having my boy Sonic in one of them.
I mean, yeah, that's fair enough to say. Geico is crushing them in terms of, like, funny ads.
Are they? They have the Geico Gecko.
Maybe not lately, but, like, over their whole history, sure.
Did they used to have the cavemen?
They had the cavemen, who were funny enough to get their own show that I'm sure lasted for many seasons.
18.
They had the Hump Day Camel.
Oh my god, that's right. God, there's someone at my work who references that every single fucking Wednesday. I'm not kidding.
Still?
Yes!
In the year of our Lord 2025?
He won't stop!
Christ! Put that guy out to pasture.
God, he works retail and he's the happiest fucking guy I ever met. I'll give it to him. But yes, no, and he was doing it in 2022 when I joined, and he's still doing it now. So he's probably did it 10 years before I fucking joined too.
I don't know if I've ever hated someone I've, like, never even, like, seen
do
anything more.
I like him. He, like I said, he somehow manages to wear a smile in retail. You're fucking God if you can do that. He's cool in my book, but I will make fun of him for referencing the fucking Hump Day joke every Wednesday.
Jeanette McCurdy plays Bertha, and then she's replaced in the two sequels by Janelle Monáe.
She's good. She's good as Bertha. I think Jeanette McCurdy was kind of good at being the punk girl. You know, both iCarly and this. Yeah. She was pretty good at playing that character. Don't blame her for having a negative feelings about those days, but
I mean, even in this movie, there's, like, the scene where they, like, film the party together, and I'm like, you sure are filming her legs a lot. I'm not saying there was any impropriety there. I get that kind of makes sense in the context of the film, but it's like, God, after everything she's been through, it's like...
It's definitely... I hear where you're coming from. It's definitely not Dan Schneider creepy.
For sure, no, he's not attached to this one.
Yeah.
But I mean, there were creepy people at Nickelodeon who were not Dan Schneider.
For sure, and I mean, we have scenes of, like, fucking Lucas in a bathtub in this movie. I mean, I'm not gonna fucking completely rub that off as maybe there was a creepy person working on this one.
He gets shirtless like a few times in this movie.
And to be fair, they were making jokes about Twilight when they did that, but... Oh, no, wait, no, that might be the next movie they did that.
I think it was the next movie.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a Twilight reference in this one. It was just him shirtless in this. Yeah, you never...
He goes to the fucking laundromat and strips down to his underwear.
Yeah, you're right. He does do that. Yeah, no, I don't know. Because here's the thing. I can see where I can see where a fucking normal person would just be like, oh, that's a funny bit. I could also see where you get another fucking Dan Schneider with that. It's weird. I don't know what to believe anymore when I look at these movies.
Yeah.
But Jenna McCurdy is fine. I think she's good at playing, like, the punk girl, and I actually think the scene of them faking the party is the best scene in the movie. Even if you could comment on some weird shots. Like, it's like...
It goes on way too long, though. There's a whole long montage of them filming it, and then they show the video, and the video goes on, 4 or 5 minutes as well, and I'm like, you have taken up, 10 minutes of screen time with this, and it's not even a 90-minute movie.
When they're showing off the video, the weirdest thing about it to me was just the way it was edited. It almost felt like a YouTube poop at times. Like, it felt too... It felt like it was making self-aware jokes without being self-aware. Because it just got the ending of that montage is so weird because they keep cutting to the same shot of Fred saying the same line when he's pretending to be someone else, which I'm going to say this. There's, what I dislike about that scene, the one note I have with that scene is I think it's kind of a fun idea of them faking this party together, but there's shots where they actually pull it off pretty well, like they're hiding what was going on pretty well, and then there's shots where they don't hide it at fucking all. You see the mannequins blatantly in the shot. And it's like, I don't know, on one hand it's it's the Fred movie, who cares? On the other hand, it's no, you had something going there, why didn't you commit to it?
Yeah, it needed to be shorter, and then I think you could have cut out some of those weird shots. Because on top of that, you can tell that, a lot of these guests are just Lucas in different outfits.
Yeah. Well, the ones that they focus on, too. You ones that speak directly into the camera.
And he has the spin the bottle portion, where he kisses his mom. And it's oh man, I thought this Fred guy was a loser, but look at this. He's kissing his mom. That's so cool. That's so cool that he played Spin the Bottle with his mom.
Well, even if they don't know it's his mom, it's still a much older woman.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's weird either way. But I do like the sentiment of that scene, and I think him uninviting everybody is a funny scene. I get why there's defenders of this movie. I don't agree with them. That's it, because I think that the negatives of this movie are too strong.
No, it takes forever to get there.
Yeah.
They have good stuff here and there, but it's so few and far between.
I had a little bit of optimism for this movie because of how people respond to it. But then when I looked at when we were done watching it, it's just no, this is kind of on the middle of the list for Hall of Victories. I kind of thought there was a chance it'd be high up on the list because I was you know what? People kind of defend this one. This is one of those bad movies that have video essays on why it's actually kind of good or why it's actually kind of charming. I'm all right, I'll sit through that. And I was kind of ready for this to be one of those, but I don't think it is. I just think that it's not the worst of the worst. I think that's the best thing I can say about it.
Yeah, and even I think it's bottom half of the list, for sure.
It's on my bottom half, but it's high up on the bottom half.
I can't even say that. I mean, I guess it's not quite bottom quarter, I don't think. Maybe right at bottom quarter as of now. It's just not good. It's not a good movie.
No. Now keep in mind that I really don't like Felix the Cat, the movie, when I mention this, because I know some people would think this one would be a little higher. I have it above Felix the Cat, the movie, but below the Country Bears movie. That's where I'm at with that.
Pixie Lott plays Judy, and then her manager's like, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna come back for the sequels. And it's like, that's one of the few movies she's in. Granted, she's a musician. She maybe doesn't need that, but like, she hasn't done a lot of acting work.
To me, that reads as they thought she was going to be a big deal and she wasn't.
Maybe.
And maybe she isn't a big deal because of this movie.
Well, I mean, I think she's popular, like, in the UK. I think British people will know her. At least from around the time.
I think she is... I think that it makes sense for her to not want to come back for another movie. I also think the movies are better off if she doesn't come back. She is the worst part of the movie, in my opinion. She is really not interesting. I think I thought she was an exceptionally boring character in this, and I think that the only way that you could have kind of made her work is if she actually was creeped out by Fred showing up to her party, and she doesn't show up at his house at the end of it. I think it's like, no, I don't, what? You think we're in a relationship? No. And then Fred finally got that little bit of a dose of reality, which brought him closer to his friend Bertha, who they faked the party with. I think that would have been a better ending, personally. I think she is bland throughout the movie. The only even mild entertainment that comes from her character is the fantasy scenes where she's not acting like herself. And then to top it all off, I think that her coming back after that party scene is a detriment to the movie. I don't think... It's bad for both of them for that relationship to carry on. It's bad for Fred because it's feeding a delusion, and it's bad for her because she would be with Fred. Like, there's no good that comes from that.
Yeah, no, I like the joke with her seems to be that like Fred is pretending they're together, but they're clearly not. So the fact that they play her as this like, oh well, maybe she does like Fred at the end, it's like, no, you're ruining part of the joke with that.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Pixie Lott, she was in concert with the Monkey movie guy,
Whoa.
Robbie Williams.
Whoa. I like that movie. Better Man, that's a good movie.
Now last episode, we were talking about how we haven't had too many professional wrestlers, but we do have a professional wrestler in this one.
And his name is John Cena!
They don't actually play the song in the movie, but they do reference it. Fred says, "My time is now," which is the name of that song.
Yeah, I think it was, like I mentioned you when we were watching, I think it was before the John Cena meme really became a thing, because I really do think it was that prank phone call video that like really popularized that, and this was... Oh yeah. This was after... This movie was before that video came out.
Yeah. He's like one of the highlights of the movie, honestly.
He's funny. He's funny in the movie.
And then Siobhan Fallon Hogan is his mother, who is worth bringing up because she was also in...
Mars Needs Moms?
Striptease. It was Striptease.
Okay. Who was in Mars Needs Moms?
What a movie. It's the teacher from iCarly, the principal.
Right.
What a 2 movies to appear in. Fred the movie and Striptease.
Her lineup is kind of interesting because then she's also in Forrest Gump, Holes, and Funny Games.
Yeah. No, interesting actress.
I think she's perfect for the role of Fred's mom with what Fred's mom is.
Oh yeah. No, she's perfect for this role. It's not too many other people worth mentioning. Oscar from The Office shows up.
Yeah.
He and his husband are running like a pet shop that Fred tries to steal a dog from.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he does.
Trying to think if there's anyone else worth mentioning, but probably not. It's probably about everyone.
Off the top of my head, yeah. No, that's it.
So, yeah. Recognizable Office cast member. Office was either about to end or already over when this movie... Yeah, it was about to end. Wasn't quite over yet. But he wasn't getting a lot of work outside of The Office. He's just kind of one of those people who will always be known as the guy from The Office.
Yeah. Not me. I recognize Rainn Wilson as being from House of a Thousand Corpses. God, we've been talking about this one for a long time. We should
Yeah.
probably move on.
Yeah, let's move on to Smosh the movie, because I gotta wrap this up soon.
I will say, I keep track of every movie we reference on this show. I have a massive letterbox list of every movie we've referenced on Hollow Victories. And we are very close to hitting 1,000 movies. We might not do it this episode, but we are on 1,000 movie watch. We're very close. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Evil Dead 2.
Ice Age 2, The Meltdown.
Ice Age: The Meltdown.
Maybe that's the 1,000th movie right there.
That's what's happening in Wisconsin right now. The ice age is finally melting down. We finally got above freezing temperatures for the first time in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, same. It's been a nice day out here today.
Yeah. Anyways, let's talk about Smits the movie. Smosh the movie is a film from 2015, starring Anthony Padilla and Ian Hecox from the TV the YouTube channel Smosh. In the movie, Anthony is a pizza delivery guy, and Ian is unemployed. They're both living with Ian's parents because they're kind of losers. And a video goes up online of Anthony singing almost the Pokemon theme song at their, at the prom? Is it the prom there? It's some high school event. Some big, maybe graduation. Some big high school event is happening, and he goes up on stage and sings the Pokemon theme song. It's not actually the Pokemon theme song, because, of course, at the beginning of the movie, they're at the arcade, and they find the famous arcade game Pokemon. It's called,
Pocket Monster something.
Pocket Fantasy Monster Slay, something like that. And they do the joke about Pokemon. They do the one joke about Pokemon. It's animal fights. Ha. We're making the animals fight. It's a joke. It's the joke people have about Pokemon.
Matt, when you really think about it, if you got your dog to fight another animal, and then you got money at the end of it, that's like dog fighting.
Yo, man, Pokemon's kind of fucked up, yo.
Yo, man. You throw a ball at them and they go inside them? Doesn't make sense.
Anyways, so they need to take down this embarrassing video. So they go to YouTube headquarters and talk to Steve YouTube, and he tells them it's easier to go into the portal to YouTube and change the video than it is to delete the video, unless you're a giant corporation. Giant corporations can just take down videos willy-nilly with no permission. Where's my fucking Barnyard video, Paramount? Where's the fucking Barnyard video, Paramount? Steve YouTube is the cousin of Marty Dimps. Anyways, so they go through all these YouTube videos trying to find the video that they're in, and it turns out that Ian was the one who recorded and uploaded it, which means he could have deleted it literally whenever. But instead they get in a fight with their past selves, and then they have to escape YouTube, and once they do, they're famous YouTubers for their video clone fight. Oh, and also Anthony figures out the girl he had a crush on in high school also liked him back. I do not buy for a second that Anthony Padilla was not popular in high school. But anyways, that's Smosh the movie. Michael, what'd you think of this one?
This is one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen. I think that, if I'm just talking about an adaptation of the web show now, because I gave that treatment to Fred. I talked about how it adapted things pretty well, for the most part. Even if you hate Fred, it's adapted well. Smosh was a skit comedy channel with characters. There was, I mentioned them to you in a message recently. There was Charlie the Drunk Guinea Pig, who had his own fucking channel. There was Boxman. There was Teleportin' Fat Guy. There was, characters on the Smosh channel. So many that they made, some of them got animated shows on the fucking Shut Up Cartoons channel. Smosh is You know, it's been around for, even at the time this movie came out, it had been around for a while. There were characters, there was stuff to adapt, and none of it is adapted. There's two slight things that resemble the YouTube videos. One is the Pokemon theme song that isn't actually the Pokemon theme song. Obviously, that song is very relevant to them. The lip sync video they did is what made them popular in the first place. And I mean, I loved that fucking video when I was younger, too. The second thing is one of the animators on Shut Up Cartoons did a few shots for the opening of the movie of Ian watching videos on YouTube as a cartoon character, even though they could have easily done that as him as just actual Ian watching YouTube videos. I don't get why they did that. It's just kind of a weird choice to make. It's just kind of nonsense. And I don't want to diss this animator too much because I think that he is talented. He has these animal characters that were on the Shut Up Cartoons channel that looked a lot better because I think he's more comfortable with animals than humans. So then when they asked him to do the Super Smosh cartoon, which is what that animation style reflects, kind of looked like shit because he doesn't really do humans. That wasn't really his game. At least I don't think it was from what I saw. And yeah, it looked like shit, and it looked like shit in this movie too. So I think this movie is one bad decision after the other. I don't think anything about it works. I think that it's not the worst thing we've covered on Hollow Victories, but I'd put it in, honest to God, it's in the bottom 3 for me. I think it fucking sucks.
Really? Okay. I didn't hate it that much. It's not funny. It's not good. I don't know that I hated it quite that much. I get that it's a bad adaptation of the Smosh channel, but like I don't know, like I think the story itself is actually like interesting enough. I think there's like potential with this story. Not that they necessarily achieved it, but like it's an interesting premise. And it did make me laugh here and there.
I laughed at a few jokes too, but it's just like
fewer than Fred. It's less funny than Fred the movie.
I just think that it's like lame. I think it's lame, and I think that I think the story is written really poorly, and that you might like look at that and say, well, why does that matter? It wouldn't matter if it was making me fucking laugh, but it's not. So now I'm thinking about that, because you mentioned, you already mentioned one of them where it's like Ian could have deleted the whole video the whole time. There's like a million of those in this movie. A million instances of like them making a fucking nonsensical decision that doesn't make any fucking sense. Even with just how they navigate through YouTube. Like, oh, we need the actual URL. You can put in a fucking URL, but you can't put in a fucking name of a video to search it? How does this fucking work? No, the movie is full of that. It just does whatever the fuck it wants the entire time, and it doesn't think of anything logically. There's never a point where the movie makes sense. And it looks like shit the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, especially like there's a part where they like invade one of Markiplier's videos. And the CG looks awful, but it doesn't even look like a bad video game CG. It looks like bad movie CG.
Well, it looks like the fucking Amazing Bulk, and it's like it felt like they felt. To me, it doesn't like that reads as like, oh, this is the scene where it's a video game, so we're allowed to half-ass it. Where in reality, like, no, if you actually had like a fucking tiny bit of passion inside of you, you would have had fun with that. You would have done something low polygon. You would have found a unique art style for that. It's like, we just watched 100 of Beavers the night before, and that's a movie where it's like its restrictions are part of the style, and its style is outstanding.
Sure, and I mean, I could point to like Smiling Friends or Inside Out 2, both of which just did like video game low poly animation really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, one's a Disney film and one's a show with a fucking internet background like Smosh, so...
Yeah, no,
what's their fucking excuse?
I feel like they could have found someone on the internet who did animation like that.
Yeah, but no, here's fucking Markiplier. And I mean, I like Markiplier, but it's like...
Yeah.
The film's priorities are not there at all. In fact, if anything, it's like, oh, they brought on someone that people love, like Markiplier, and they didn't do anything funny with him.
Yeah, Markiplier does fucking nothing. He's just there.
Yeah,
like Jenna Marbles at least does something.
Jenna Marbles being trapped on the internet and hating her online self is a joke. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of that is kind of funny. It's not laugh out loud funny to me, but that's kind of a funny idea that she's one of the people. She's an example of what Ian and Anthony don't want to be. They don't want to be stuck in this disaster, but she also hates herself. You know, like like she's stuck with herself, and they hate each other. And that's like, okay, that's a joke. It's again, I'm not laughing hysterically at it because they're not really writing good dialogue for it, but it's a funny idea.
Yeah. And then those two are really the only YouTubers who play themselves.
Yeah, like Epic Mealtime is there, but he doesn't play
Epic
himself.
Mealtime is the male person.
Grace Helbig is like one of the people working at YouTube, working for him. Like it's like the secretary.
Yeah.
Shane Dawson's there, returning.
I almost don't know if that even counts, because it's not like he's playing a character. They just played one of his videos in the movie. He doesn't make a cameo at all.
Well,
they just play one of his videos during the intro.
He does show up in the cast. He's credited as Sex Simulator guy. So did he play a second character that we didn't notice?
Oh, did he?
It's possible, but he's credited. He's on the casting.
Okay, it's possible he played a second character I didn't know about.
But Lady Gaga is also on this casting, so what the fuck do I know? Why is she there? She wasn't in the movie. If she was in the movie, they would have brought more attention to him. More attention to her. Mari was in the movie, who was the host of Smosh Pit Weekly. That was their girl on that channel. Yeah. So she was there. I have no idea who Gillian S. Nelson, the person who played Anna Reed, is. I don't know if she's a YouTuber or an actor, or honestly, when I googled her standing on the background for Smosh the movie is the first thing that popped up. So sorry, Smosh the movie is the most popular thing you did.
She hasn't been in much. She was in one of David Dakota's 1313 movies.
Mm-hmm.
David Dakota, famously the director of A Talking Cat.
It's always a good sign. I like how I'm looking at this fucking cast list. Some of their fucking profile pictures for Google. Several of them have Smosh the movie in the background. That's to give you an idea of what this cast is.
One of the people they run into while they're on YouTube is fucking Stone Cold Steve Austin, promoting his own knockoff Stone Cold Creamery.
Yeah.
Which, utterly ridiculous that, that Stone Cold Creamery themselves never hired Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Hey, maybe that's one thing that the Smosh movie did right.
To promote them, yeah.
Should we talk about cast? I know we've already done a decent bit of that, but should we actually talk about how they did in the movie? Because we haven't actually talked about it or not.
Yeah, let's talk about the cast a little.
I've always felt that, even though I can definitely give Anthony credit for calling this movie out a decade before Ian did, I always felt that Ian was the funnier of the two. Now,
hold on. Anthony is the one that left, right?
Yes.
Okay. Because I always had a little more respect for him for, stepping away.
Same.
But granted, the fact that they're still willing to work together, they're still on good terms, they've bought their company back. I can't hate Ian.
Well, and say whatever you want about Ian with staying and kind of acting enthusiastic about the how they were owned at that point. That entire crew that was with him 10 years ago when that happened are still with him, and whenever he's on a podcast with people, he's talking like a human being. He's not talking like a robot. So,
yeah.
I think that it's very likely that Ian was okay, he's kind of sucked into this now, but he's going to keep doing it. It feels like the people who work with Ian respect him. It feels like he's, kind of made fun of as, oh, this is what your YouTube career became, but also kind of oh, but we like you, Ian. That's kind of what it feels like with him.
Yeah, sure.
And I do think between the two of them, Ian was funny. I thought, I thought they were both. I liked them both when I was a kid watching them, but I've always felt like Ian kind of Anthony almost feels like he's supposed to be like the cool one at times, where Ian is like just allowed to be silly, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, as compared to like last time we were talking about YouTuber movies, I respect all three of these people vastly more than the stars of the previous YouTuber movies we talked about.
For sure. I still do respect them. I genuinely, I respect Lucas, respect Ian, I respect Anthony.
Yeah.
I don't respect every decision they made. I don't respect their movies, but I don't. Even then, it's up for debate how responsible they are for their movies. At the end of the day,
Yeah, I mean,
at the end of the day,
all
they
three
said
of
yes.
them have now. All three of them have shat on their own movies, haven't
Yeah.
they?
And all three of them were taken by a bigger company to make the movie. Like they didn't really did. Can you like sit down and say Lucas wrote every line of dialogue in that Fred movie? He probably didn't write one.
But that is kind of a thing that's maybe worth noting with these two. I feel like the Smosh guys had way more control over Smosh the movie than Lucas did with Fred the movie.
With the context I have, and I hear why you would say that, honestly, but with the context I have, no.
No.
They had almost no say in this.
Well, I guess that
they could be liars. They could be liars. They could be full, but they both said they didn't have much say in the movie.
All right. I mean, fair enough. Like if I had to guess, cuz Fred the movie was on Nickelodeon, but this was still from like Awesomeness TV.
Well,
which sounds like
you know who another distributor of this movie was?
Was it 20th Century Fox?
Yeah, actually, that is one that's listed. That's the distributor, but Lionsgate was also attached to this.
Huh. I have kind of mixed feelings on Lionsgate. Like they'll put out some like good low budget movies sometimes, but also like they can be kind of shit.
Oh, I mean, for sure. I think the most popular thing was fucking Hunger Games.
I was gonna say John Wick, but Hunger Games.
I didn't even know they had John Wick. I didn't even know they had
John Wick
fucking
is
John
them.
Wick.
I think Saw is also them. I think they also own Saw.
I mean, Lionsgate's got properties now.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, but that's just to say, like, maybe Ian and Anthony didn't actually have much control of the movie.
Sure, fair enough. Like if they have said in interviews that like, yeah, we didn't really have that much control, I believe them.
There's two interviews I saw like that I want to call them recent, but I'm going to just say within the last 5 years they've come out. One is Cold Ones with Ian, which if you don't know what Cold Ones is, it's Max Mofo and Anything for Views, who did a lot of stuff with iDubbbz and Filthy Frank in the past. They like kind of just openly confronted Ian on that show, saying like, you know, the Smosh movie sucked, right? And Ian didn't really. He kind of felt like he was trying to get out of that conversation. Where Anthony was very recently on his own show with the Raka Raka guys who released their movie with The Hand. I forget the name of it, but they released an actual movie recently. And they brought up the Smosh movie, and Anthony, like, you know, openly admitted he doesn't like it. But he even, like, they said, like, if he could do it again, what would he do? And they kind of just said, like, he just kind of said, like, I would just want to make it like the skits, but an hour and 30 minutes, you know? And I feel like they could do that because they have so many characters. I mentioned at the start of this segment.
Yeah.
They had characters that you can take those characters and put them into the movie. You don't have to acknowledge every Smosh character, but you're not going to do one of them. You're going to recast one. I haven't mentioned that yet. They recast Ian's mom. That pisses me off. That genuinely pisses me off. Because she's funny in the skits. I still think she's funny in the skits, actually. I think it's hilarious that Ian just said, hey, Mom, be in these videos with us, and it's just Ian's actual mom being shitty to him. Like, I think that's really funny. That shows a really good sense of humor on both Ian's side and Ian's mom's side. And they put, like, just some fucking rando in the movie, and I feel a little mean saying that because I don't know this actress. I don't know what else she's done, but it's like, no, don't do that.
Not much, actually.
Now that shit I will actually get heated about. That shit I actually will get heated about. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I don't know how many cast members are worth even talking about that we haven't already, like it's worth mentioning all the YouTubers that show up, but they barely do anything. Steve Austin is in like one scene, and his one joke is just telling Anthony over and over that he needs to do the stone cold stunner on this girl he has a crush on.
I've heard people say Markiplier did good in this like series that he was recently on, so Markiplier might be capable of acting.
He's making a movie. He is
I heard that.
directing a movie, and I'm kind of interested in seeing it.
I do kind of... Markiplier is one of those people, like, I'm not a massive fan of him, but when he's on a project, he does seem pretty committed to it. Like, Unis Honest was kind of an interesting project that he did.
He was apparently supposed to be, like, the security guard who dies in, like, the very first scene of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
He was.
But he, like, scheduling conflicts kept him from that.
He had a mini-series last year where he was the star of it. I think it was based on a game. It might have been. I might be getting things mixed up right now, but I heard people praise him for that. I haven't seen it, but people said he was good in that.
I believe it.
Yeah, I have a little bit of faith in that man.
He literally didn't get, like, anything to do in this movie. He's like, hey guys, Markiplier, I'm playing this game, and that's it! he doesn't do anything.
And honest to God, that would be a little bit funnier if maybe it was like, they go for a bunch of different YouTubers. But Markiplier and Jenna Marbles are like the only two YouTubers they referenced during that. Like, we're going video to video. And Jenna Marbles has a little bit of plot significance, and Markiplier doesn't. So Markiplier is kind of the only one-off skit character we have. Like, here's a quick video that we're showing. Like, if they did that with a bunch of YouTubers, then it would make a little bit more sense. But no, Markiplier is really the only one they do that with.
Yeah.
I don't know if Brittany Ross, who plays Brad, the girl that Ian's into.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's a YouTuber. I'm not seeing a lot of...
Yeah, she is listed as being in 2 movies.
Yeah, her YouTube career is just like fucking videos of concerts, so she's not a YouTuber. Grace Helbig and Shane Dawson are not actors. They can't act.
Shane Dawson doesn't even act. He's like if he is someone in this movie, he has like 2 lines.
Grace Helbig I've got nothing against her, but she also is not someone who's ever left an impression on me, and she was not good in this movie. Harley Morenstein, I enjoyed watching him fight Egoraptor. That was fun.
I'm not actually that familiar with Epic Mealtime either.
Yeah, I didn't watch their videos in the past. I knew the joke was they put bacon on everything.
The one big actor I think is worth mentioning is Michael Ian Black, who is like a fairly well-known like comedic actor. He's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Wet Hot American Summer. I mean, he's listed here as being in the Reno 911 movie. I don't know if he's like a cast member with them or not.
I wonder if he's been on some TV shows, because he looks familiar to me. I just don't know from what, but he does look familiar.
Yeah, no, he's been in stuff. And I do think it's kind of funny that his character is just Steve YouTube. Oh yeah, no, yeah, he's on Reno 911.
I'm looking at the shows he was on. He's been on a lot that I've heard of but didn't watch. Like, he was on Search Party, which I heard a lot about. He was on Insatiable, which I heard a lot of controversial things about, but heard about nonetheless. Robot Chicken, that's voices, though. Yeah, there's a lot of shows on here that I'm familiar with that I did. Like Reno 911, like you mentioned, I'm familiar with him from... I'm familiar with that show and never watched it. Us and Them, heard of that, never watched it. In terms of his movies, the one I'm the most familiar with is Wedding Days, which I haven't seen, so... But I've at least heard of that movie.
Yeah, no, I know him for Wet Hot American Summer, which is a hilarious movie.
Okay, I mean, he's had a career. I mean, there's a lot of movies on here.
Yeah, no, he's like the one real actor in this. I do want to talk about the director, though.
Okay.
The director of this film, Alex Winter, is, of course, famous for playing Bill S. Preston in the Bill and Ted franchise. And he directed this. He kind of has a cameo. There's like a scene where these girls are trying to raise money for like people affected by they're affected by like their ring finger being longer than their pointer finger. I think that was the cause, actually. But they like hold up a flyer, and the guy on the flyer is Alex Winter. I recognize him. I just watched his movie Freaked, which is like kind of interesting. Extremely 90s. It's an extremely 90s movie, but it's pretty fun. I enjoyed Freaked.
Okay.
He's directed quite a few documentaries, including a few about YouTube,
That's actually his most recent thing is the YouTube effect.
which I believe has Ian and Anthony in it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And Susan.
Yeah, that's
R.I.P..
what this movie. That's what. Oh yeah. Oh god, I forgot that she passed.
I think we all did. He also directed the 2 live-action Ben 10 movies.
I was gonna mention that if you didn't.
What a career. What a career he has had. Jeez. Do you have anything else to say about Smosh the movie? It's just kind of unfocused. It's kind of all over the place. There's not, like, much of a strong story structure to this one.
Yeah. The only other thing I'll say, because like I think the big reference to the videos, because like they're like you're really like grasping at straws to find like a justification to call this a Smosh movie. Obviously, Ian and Anthony being there is the biggest one. Like that's of course that's huge. But like we're actually talking about like content within their videos, like stuff within their videos. It's like it really just comes down to like the Pokemon theme song, which they don't even use. And I gotta say, like if they couldn't like get like rights to license a song, which that might be pretty difficult. I'm not gonna act like it isn't, but it's like I feel like in that case it's not even worth it. Like don't reference that video then. Reference something else. But it's just like there was no fucking interest in making a Smosh movie. There was an interest in making a movie about YouTube, and Smosh was just they were the right 2 people to slap onto that.
Yeah.
Because this movie doesn't acknowledge the fucking web show at all. It doesn't acknowledge it at fucking all.
No, yeah. No, and I think that would be annoying to anyone who like was a fan of Smosh coming into this. I will say I looked up the 2 writers for this. They seem to be TV writers. One of them wrote for Blue Mountain State, and the other wrote for Fairly Odd Parents.
Huh.
Steve Marmel wrote for Fairly Odd Parents and Danny Phantom.
I was trying to see if Eric Falconer played a character in Blue Mountain State. Probably had like a one-off role, because he kind of looks familiar to me.
Maybe.
But he probably had like a role in one episode of Blue Mountain State, and then was just behind the scenes from there. I mean, I like Blue Mountain State fine. It's not.
I know you like that show. I've never seen it.
It's not a show I'd recommend. It's not good enough to recommend, but it's like, oh, I used to like that show.
Anyways, we should wrap this one up because my laptop is dying and I don't want to get up and get the charger.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not really surprised that we got a lot of talk out of this one because I had a lot of ranting to do with these 2.
Oh, sure.
But I'm ready to vote.
I think I'm up first since you introduced the first film. Weirdly enough, I feel like if you went back to like 2010 and asked me which of these 2 YouTubers would make the better movie, I would have said Smosh.
Same.
Like, even though I didn't watch either of these, I had friends who liked Smosh. I had no animosity towards Smosh. Fred I just, like, didn't like. So I would have guessed Smosh. But frankly, having seen both of them, Fred has the slightly better movie. I do think they're kind of close. I think these are both kind of nothing movies, if I'm being honest.
I think Fred at least adapts the source material, and I can kind of understand where someone could enjoy it, but I wouldn't agree, because I feel like it would just be like, there's a few parts that I get why you like. I don't get why you like the whole thing. So are you just saying those few parts elevate the whole thing to you? Because if they do, they're doing a lot of fucking lifting. Because as a whole, the movie is not good. I if anyone like tries to say the whole movie is good, no, I do not agree with you. But
no, there's a moment or 2 I think are good. I think the story is like interesting enough. I don't hate it. I don't think I hate it as much as you, but it's certainly not a good movie. Not by any means.
Yeah, I hate the Smosh movie. I don't hate the Fred movie. But I don't like the Fred movie.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I don't hate either of them, but I also think they're both pretty bad.
But I will also say, like, and maybe, like, this is showing off side of me. Like, I mean, I did grow up liking Smosh. and I got a movie that didn't represent the thing I liked, and maybe I'm a little bit bitter about that still. That's possible. You know, like,
I mean, that's fair. I think there's more potential for a Smosh movie than a Fred movie, and they squandered it.
I agree. You know, on my own channel, I've talked about the stupid Mario Bros. Movie and the Dick Figures movie, and those are two film adaptations of a web show that knew 100% what they needed to be. And here we have two web show movies where Fred, I kind of feel like it's like, it's doing a good job adapting it, but it's also adapting Fred.
Yeah.
And then the Smosh movie is like so fucking lost, where up to the point where it's like, this literally didn't, even with Ian and Anthony in it, it didn't need to be called Smosh the movie. It could have been called YouTube the movie, or The Quest for YouTube, or something like that. You know, like, it could have.
Yeah.
Smosh, you didn't even need to put Smosh, even with Ian and Anthony in it, it still doesn't earn the name Smosh.
It's the YouTube Rewind movie.
Honestly.
There's like a couple popular YouTubers in it, some celebrity cameos, and zero good jokes.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you that. Yeah, it's the fucking YouTube Rewind movie.
The audience is with us overwhelmingly 76% for Fred the movie, 24% for Smosh. So pretty big gap on that one.
Yeah.
Fred the movie wins.
Woo! Yeah, no, in terms of where I rank them, you know, Fred's like kind of like somewhere in the middle, like towards the bottom, but in the middle. Smosh is, I like joysticks more than it. It's Planes and Last Airbender are the two below it. Because Planes and Last Airbender are pretty fucking bad.
I have Smosh 5 spots below Fred.
Yeah, I genuinely can't stand that movie, but I mean, I think we both, I don't know, I fixate on things that you don't, and that's okay.
Yeah.
We hit points where something will bother me a lot more than it bothers you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, not like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen. You know, it is not awful. I have certainly seen harder to get through comedies than this.
You know what joke did make me laugh from the trailer, from Smosh the movie? I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
If you want, honest to God, consider checking out the trailer after this. The shot of Ian and Anthony, like it's the soldier coming home video, and then Ian and Anthony ruin it. The way they edited it in the trailer is funnier than the way it's edited in the movie. And it's funny in the trailer. I actually actively laughed when I saw that in the trailer because they edited it well. It's just, it just kills the moment at such a perfect speed. And then they cut to something else in the trailer, and it's like, that's funny. It's funny how quick it happens, and it's funny how quick it cuts away from it. But then in the movie, it's like, no, the build-up to it happening is longer, and then after it happens, it stays on the scene, so it kind of kills the pace, and it kind of kills the joke, in my opinion. So the trailer had the best joke in the Smosh movie.
I'm sure that's not totally uncommon.
I mean, it makes sense for that to be the case of a movie that isn't good, that the trailer would outdo the movie.
Yeah, fair enough. Anyways, next month is April. So, Michael, do you want to do our April Fool's matchup?
I thought you would never ask, Matt.
All right, for the April Fool's episode, we're watching the third movie of famous franchises that famously did not live up to the first two movies. Like first two movies, some of the greatest films of all time. Third movie, widely panned. It is, of course, The Godfather Part 3 versus Shrek the Third. Michael, have you seen The Godfather?
I have not.
Okay, we're gonna cover The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 on Hollow Victories Out of the Ring.
That's probably why you're agreeing to this. Oh my, I've been pitching this stupid fucking idea to Matt since the start of the show.
Yes.
I couldn't even be mad at Matt for continuing.
We can finally do Godfather Part 3 versus Shrek the Third.
This is my fucking year, because we started it off with my favorite movie covered on the show so far, Zardoz. And then we move on to YouTube territory, and now we're doing this stupid fucking pitch of mine. This is my fucking year in Hall of Victories.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to hurt you down the line.
All right.
But, we'll do this one.
Well, thank you.
Until next time, for my co-host Makal Shadackle, I'm Matt Presents. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.